New blog '03. There was a lot of work for me to do in the days that followed, but I had been given the energy to do it. It was such a huge uplift to have had my life given back. I had to make the best of this opportunity. The words of the goddess Hecate about opportunities were starting to make sense, I thought. Here I was, a woman of substance, and I'd found the master as well. Even more so the words of Granny Beth, who had said I would find great kindness, but first I would have great need for that kindness. Her words had come true. I must never forget just how deep that need had been. The house was not in bad condition, but I needed help to get it to be what I wanted. Cleaning it, airing it, these things I could do, but there was the heavier work needed too, like clearing the outside where the surroundings had got overgrown and wild. It was such a pleasure to me to open up rooms, to let the sunshine into places that hadn't seen it for ages, just like what was happening to me. Free to breathe in air, full of the glorious sense of the day's passing moments. Benjamin's Hall was a large, impressive space, but was by no means the only or even the greatest improvement he had done to the house. There were new bedrooms set around another courtyard, and improved kitchen and washrooms too. Once I had met up with Daniel, who had been married to Becky, my eldest sister, I was able to assess the funds available and the people to help me with the house. Daniel was Jacob's eldest son and had been devastated by the double loss of his wife and unborn child. After a year he married again, but I could see even now how hard he had been hit. He was much quieter than the brashly confident young man I remembered. His second wife, Sarah, was really sweet, and the two boys they had were quite a handful, obviously the pride of Jacob's eyes. Jacob had a daughter too, with 3 children, but she lived away in Tiberias, and he seldom saw them. There had been another daughter, Elizabeth, who I had known quite well, and who had never been strong. Apparently her health had got worse, and when she was bitten by an unknown insect, she got a fever that she didn't recover from. I was sad to hear this. Daniel was very helpful with all the arrangements I needed to make. He had the businesses well under control, and yet wasn't resentful at all of the fact that I was now involved rather than my ailing mother, who hadn't interfered at all. As far as the house was concerned, he knew people I could hire to do things I wanted, and also someone who would make an ideal gardener, an older man who had recently lost his wife and who also needed a room to stay. I found Hilda myself in town, a girl to help look after the enlarged house, and her mother came along too, which pleased Ruth, who found they had much in common. Many of the people I spoke with were very interested to hear about Yeshua, but there were some who were much more disparaging, warning me that he was nothing but a troublemaker and a fake. I wondered how they came to this opinion, as it didn't seem founded on anything more than rumor. More challenging to me in some ways was people's attitudes to my past, my life as a priestess of Astarte in Antioch. Clearly, most close family friends would prefer it if it was not mentioned, or if possible, not even known about. Uncle Jacob had great difficulty with it, and Daniel was much the same. They obviously felt it tainted them. I was not prepared to be ashamed and play the disgraced penitent. I still had dear friends in Antioch who I wanted to see again, Ariane and Sarita particularly. How would they react, I wonder, when they heard that the Messiah was really here, was real, was travelling around preaching and healing, that even now he was living in Capernaum? Wouldn't they want to hold a festival, as for Adonis reborn? Why should I turn my back and deny all that these people believed, just because what another people believed? What about Isis? Was she come too, as was foretold? I thought of Mother Mary, and my heart skipped a beat. First is Mother. At least my own mother backed me up. I didn't feel that she wanted me to deny my past. She seemed to understand something about fate and destiny, and her love for me opened her to possibilities that others rejected. The path I had taken had led me to my master, even though I had been attacked and possessed by demon spirits on the way there. But he had wiped my slate clean. What was it the master had said about all the barriers that we had in us? That some were obvious, but most were not. The spirits were obvious, but I could see now that there were so many other little prejudices, habits, and things that pushed us away from that which Yeshua called us to acknowledge. In others, certainly, but in me as well. If I hadn't been so violently damaged by that magus and the spirits, would I have even got to the house in Marimian? Would I have found my master? Even now, I could sense how I contained some of all that I fought to avoid in the spirits. Anger, hate, lust, and something in me that felt a trepidation about returning to Capernaum. Thankfully, though, my heart and soul were pulling me too strongly to be denied. I went to see my mother and told her that I would be going back to be with Yeshua. I wanted to know the truth he talked about. She smiled and said that if she were younger, she would come too. I was surprised. If it is possible, I shall ask him to come to Magdalene, to preach and to stay with us here. Her face was creased with wrinkles that told me her delight of the idea. I shall make sure the house is ready, she said. If you bring him, how wonderful that would be. If you go with him elsewhere, then so be it. I shall keep the house ready for you, whenever you want to be here. It was my turn to show my happiness. That she accepted me so completely was truly more than I ever could have expected. I hugged her to me. I shall ask him for you, I said. Before I left, she brought me something that she had been working on in the days that I'd been busy with the house and businesses. It was the old priestess cloak that I still had with me. It had become almost unwearable because of the tears and threadbare areas, but now it looked quite different. It was neatly sewn and patched, with a rather fine green material that almost matched the original. At the neck, she had worked in a gilded chain and fastener that transformed it into a quite respectable cloak, old but well loved. I didn't know what to say. She chuckled and then sighed deeply. You know, your father was a good man. She looked at me, and I thought I saw a much younger woman behind her eyes. But that doesn't mean he was always right, nor these ways we live under. I cannot say I have always agreed with them, but didn't speak up. Not the way you have. I should have supported you better back then. Mother, you did all that you could. I just needed to understand these things for myself. We looked at each other. I cannot say that I totally regret the life that I have followed, though. Not now that it has led me to this, I said. And thank you so much for all you are doing for me, with me. It means more than I can ever tell you.